And for more on the recall referendum and the opposition marches, we turn to our correspondent in Caracas, Iain Bruce. Hi Iain. Well, we know representatives of the opposition MUD coalition met with the National Electoral Council this afternoon. Do we know what came out of this meeting?
Seemingly some progress, Reagan. We don't have an official announcement from the Electoral Authority itself, but when that meeting was over, the Secretary General of the MUD, the opposition coalition, Jesus Torrealba, came out and said two important things. One, that the Electoral Council would announce on Wednesday, tomorrow, the details of when, how, and how the people who'd signed up to activate the recall referendum would be able to go and validate those signatures. That's the next stage of the process. That's what the opposition was demanding. That will apparently happen tomorrow, be announced tomorrow. The second important thing was, he said, we don't have this officially, that the CNE, the Electoral Authority, had recognised that 1.3 million valid signatures had been delivered. You remember that over a month ago now, the opposition handed over what they said were 1.85 million. We don't know what happened to the missing 500,000. But anyway, it's a lot more than they needed, which was only about 200,000. So it looks like it may very well go ahead, that process. We'll have to wait for the details tomorrow. And that may also mean that the opposition may be prepared to rejoin those talks, those initial talks that are happening in the Dominican Republic, the so-called dialogue, because they'd set as a condition for returning to those talks some movement towards defining when this next step of the recall referendum process would happen.
Iain, we're seeing some images of the National Guard, I assume they are, barricading the opposition marchers from approaching the CNE offices. Lots of people believe that this is to silence the opposition protesters, but why are they being barricaded at all?
Well, this goes back several weeks, Reagan. I mean, it was clear that they would never be allowed to march to the CNE. Last month, the government decided to suspend the right to protest outside the CNE after there had been some minor clashes there, and that applies to both sides, of course, for and against. So they were not going to be able to allowed to get to the CNE. Also, the mayor of Libertador municipality, that's the central part of Caracas, has repeatedly said that he wouldn't allow the opposition to march through his area because he said in the past they've only brought violence to the center of the city. So, you know, they've been given, if you like, the right, the freedom to march in the eastern part of the city where they're strong and where they control, but not to go into the center of the city. That was clear. That was clear that was going to happen. I think it was more of a show. The opposition wanted to show that they weren't being allowed, so they marched up to the police line. There was some pushing and shoving. There was some pepper spray and some tear gas. At the end, it was a little bit more serious. Well, no, I wouldn't say it was a major incident. Again, then the opposition started throwing rocks at the police line. We were right in the middle of it, and the police started lobbing tear gas back, and then everyone dispersed. But yeah, it was dramatic for a few minutes. We got a lot of tear gas in our faces, but it wasn't a major incident.
Definitely an intense situation. Thanks so much, Iain, for that update. We'll continue following this, of course. Thanks again.